Every universe of superheroes has that one character that fans keep sleeping on until they turn out to be the biggest scene stealers. In the X-Men universe, that character's Jubilee. We're just 3 episodes into Season 2 of X-Men 97, and Episode 2's already presented Jubilee, or Jubilation Lee, in the most upgraded version of herself. With the 90s rock track Volcano Girls playing on her headphones and bubblegum in her mouth, she just knocked the hell out of a heavily armed X-Factor guard by unleashing a massive display of her fireworks that was way superior to what we've seen in cartoons or comics. But it seemed like Jubilee was still holding back. Well, for a long time, since Jubilee made her first appearance in 1989's Uncanny X-Men number 244 and the original X-Men animated series, her powers were all about fireworks that fans never took seriously. But trust me, there are instances where Jubilee's explosive abilities escalated to the point where she literally became a nuclear bomb. She's been holding her power back almost the entirety of her life to protect herself as well as the people in her surroundings. And it feels like, even in X-Men 97, she has yet to reveal who she truly is. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the 2 main instances from the comics where Jubilee became the most dangerous mutant of all time. So, without further ado, let's get started. Emma Frost finds out what Jubilee's actually hiding. Those bright and colorful fireworks don't define Jubilee at all, but you should also watch what those little fireworks can do. These fireworks are actually plasmoid energy blasts, which can literally blind enemies, blow up machinery, and even kill people. Jubilee can also use these precision blasts inside a human brain to cause a brain stroke. And after everything is done and dusted, she can also reabsorb that energy back within her body. But fans weren't satisfied with that, only because they'd never been able to associate Jubilee with those spectacularly dangerous explosions, and that's where we got her all wrong. The very first revelation of her true capabilities came out in X-Men Volume 2, Issue 36, a Phalanx Covenant issue titled Drop the Leash, where Emma Frost became the first to truly understand Jubilee's actual mutant powers. Created by Fabian Nicieza and Andy Kubert, the issue begins with a techno-organic collective called the Phalanx, running a worldwide campaign to hunt the next generation mutants, either to assimilate them or assassinate them. But the problem is the mutants cannot be assimilated the way humans can. They tried to do that with Monet St. Croix, but they didn't succeed. They moved on to their next target, Everett Thomas, who had just recently discovered his mutant powers. He synchronized with Banshee's sonic scream, which caused massive destruction. Now Everett realized that half the policemen who were after him were actually the Phalanx in disguise. While Banshee, Sabretooth, and Everett fought the Phalanx, on the other hand, we saw Emma Frost and Jubilee hiding amongst the pedestrians. Emma masked herself telepathically from the civilians, while Jubilee seemed frustrated enough because she's been treated like a child by an adult Emma Frost, who's surely more capable and experienced than her. Emma could already sense the power brewing inside Jubilee, but she's just not mature enough to control that power. Meanwhile, the Phalanx is one hell of an unbeatable force that just never gets tired. So no matter how much Banshee, Sabretooth, and Everett try to tear through their collective, they just somehow reappear again. Emma came up with an idea to use her telepathic powers once again. She created a psychic link between Everett and Jubilee. Everett instantly synchronized with Jubilee's explosive powers and detonated the Phalanx. Even Jubilee herself was shocked to see how raw and dangerous her power was. Now, Everett also got a hint of Jubilee's abilities. Emma revealed that Jubilee's gift can allow her to destroy matter at the subatomic level, and ever since, that single line became the actual identity of Jubilee. However, all it really needed were the shows and comics to develop the character even further. Jubilee deserved more space in X-Men lore to fully reveal her potential because her powers and her personality both are quite dynamic and dynamite at the same time. She was indeed quite surprised to see her own pyrotechnic powers being so destructive, but she wasn't completely oblivious about them. She had her past regrets, which were revealed in the next issue, number 37, titled The Currents Shift. The story begins with a boat carrying these 4 next-gen mutants, Blink, Husk, M, and Skim, who were kidnapped and held captive by the Phalanx. One of the members of the Phalanx, Harvest, who was the one who captured Monet St. Croix, attacked the team and became overwhelmingly dangerous for them until Sabretooth stepped in for a rescue. Following him, Banshee and Everett came to join the fight, but the Phalanx inside Harvest was too powerful to destroy, so Blink made the ultimate decision to sacrifice herself in order to permanently destroy the villain. She asked her teammates and other X-Men members to leave the boat, as she created a huge spatial displacement field and destroyed the entire boat along with Harvest and herself on it. Banshee tried to save her but couldn't. On the other hand, Emma maintained a psychic connection with Banshee and was getting all the information from the attack. While While aboard the ship in San Diego Bay, she and Jubilee came across a giant rat infestation powered by the Phalanx. Jubilee wondered at the desperation of the Phalanx that they're now assimilating rats as well. However, to protect themselves, she would have to kill these rats and basically get rid of the Phalanx. So she unleashed a huge blast, killing the rats. As Emma wondered why she held herself back during each of the explosions, Jubilee finally revealed that, out of panic and fear, she once blew up a house in Hong Kong. So yeah, she already knew her destructive qualities, which was the reason why she deliberately restrained her powers. However, in the next miniseries, I'm going to discuss the first ever comic to give Jubilee literally a space to explode. Pun intended. But anyway, let's take a look at the next issue to get to know her even better. Jubilee finally stops holding back. So after years of underestimating the character, the opportunity finally arrived in Leah Williams' Exterminators Volume Number 2, an over-the-top miniseries full of grindhouse-style fights and executions. Jubilee, alongside her fellow mutant warriors Boom Boom and Dazzler, survives a death arena organized by a shrewd vampiric agent called Alex. And not just Jubilee, but Boom Boom, aka Tabitha Smith, and Dazzler, aka Allison Blair. These two also have a great deal of explosive powers within them, which they can use to kill their enemies both as a team and individually. So the story begins like a 90s coming-of-age teenage drama, where Dazzler's going through a heartbreak after she finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her. So to try and cheer her up, the other two girls, Jubilee and Tabitha, decide to take her to a club for a girls' night out. At the shady dive bar in West Hollywood, they're suddenly offered free drinks. As they drink up, they get severely sick. Even Tabitha, who started throwing up instantly, realizes the drinks were heavily drugged. Turns out that Allison's ex, Alex, is actually a vampire who's here to kidnap them. The three X-Men are now separated from each other, trapped in three different setups inside a huge death arena. Dazzler wakes up in a dark labyrinth surrounded by red-eyed vampires and monsters, while she tries to save a cute baby alien creature trapped within a glass box. Boom Boom wakes up in a raft inside a dark aquatic tunnel, but as she takes a look into the water, she finds herself surrounded by ghouls. And then Jubilee finds herself behind the wheels of a truck which is weaponized against her. She's been forced to drive the truck on very treacherous and surreal terrain. However, using their respective powers, they all manage to break free from the traps, but then they meet the ultimate threat of the death trap, which is none other than Wolverine, Laura Kinney, who is one of the captives. But the thing is, she's placed inside the death arena as the reigning champion of the traps and forced to kill these three mutants. However, as she recognizes the mutants, she decides to team up with them and fight against Alex. Now, with Wolverine by their side, the fights become even easier. Jubilee shares one of her coolest and edgiest scenes in the comics with Wolverine, and that just pre-establishes her as a weapon itself. In one scene, we see Wolverine slice open a vampire when Jubilee places her hand inside the creature's body, creating a plasmoid energy glow and detonating it from the inside. But one thing's for sure, Jubilee's endured a lot of gross stuff because of this power particularly. Even in the Phalanx Covenant issue 37, when she blasted those rats, she got herself an ick from that techno-organic rodent massacre. Anyway, coming back to the Exterminators, who finally realize that Alex has been trafficking these mutant girls from multiple galaxies to the ancient Elder of the Universe, and one of Marvel's most dangerous villains called the Collector, who has this giant starship made solely to keep the prisoners captive inside. Inside the starship, you'll get both a museum and a prison, because these kidnapped mutants are exhibited as a collection known as the Aquarium. Boom Boom destroys the ship's plumbing system, and Laura helps the prisoners escape through a secret way in the labyrinth. Jubilee and Dazzler made one massive explosion that helped them leave the ship and shift back to Krakoa through an intergalactic gateway. Now we come to the 5th issue of the series, where you'll finally see an explosive battle between Jubilee and the Collector. So the issue opens with the three mutants standing before Krakoa's Quiet Council and Dracula, who's explaining to them how destructive they've been for their society. However, Dracula doesn't really mind them hunting down Alex and his followers, who are nothing but rogue vampires working as some sneaky agents for the Collector. So by destroying Alex's group, they've done a favor to Dracula's society, but Dazzler isn't done with Alex yet. She wants a blood revenge on that man, so she demands one last boon from Dracula, who gives it to her but only on one condition. She can't really kill Alex, as she has to keep him minimally alive for Dracula to persecute him legally. Dazzler stands back on Earth for the final confrontation, while Jubilee, Laura, and Boom Boom head back in space to put an end to the Collector. Now, it's not an easy job to kill the Collector, but for Jubilee, this is the perfect opportunity to prove herself. In the previous battles, she held back because she could hurt some innocent people around her, but now, in space, that's not a concern. Also, the Collector isn't an ordinary human opponent, as when he reveals his true self, he looks like an evil monster violently attacking the mutants. The battle takes place in the vacuum of space on an alien vessel, where Jubilee and Boom Boom team up and overpower the Elder by constantly creating their plasmoid energy blasts, which we've rarely seen in the previous previous X-Men comics. While Wolverine and Boom Boom manage to distract the Elder, Jubilee makes one last explosion on her side. This is the first time Jubilee herself turned into a massive nuclear weapon that detonated in space. This took out the Collector along with his collection. The explosion was so huge that it incinerated her clothes and hair as an after effect. Meanwhile, Dazzler also took her revenge on Alex by literally blinding him with her light transmutation powers to destroy his voyeuristic pleasure forever. As the girls successfully get their revenge and head back to their regular lives, we see Dazzler and Boom Boom helping Jubilee get dressed for a casual outing. They're joined by Wolverine, who seemingly has become a part of their group as well. One of the many commendable things done by X-Men 97 is giving Jubilee a scene where she can really dominate. First of all, by making her join the Team X-Force and letting her kick some ass through such a heavy lifting action sequence. I think the show's already established her as far more than just a sidekick for Wolverine. Now let's see how the series would further imagine her in the new adventures and battles of the X-Men. On that note, this video is over. If you've enjoyed the discussion, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so that when we put out more X-Men 97 videos, you get notified first. Also, leave a comment below to mention your favorite Jubilee moments from the comics or the animation. Until then, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. And as always, stay marvelous.